Okay, back for just one of the last videos of this series for extra confluences. Not gonna go into this too much, but it is something that is worth noting and knowing about. Okay, again, I want you guys to come back to this stuff at a later date, but if you're already there, then this is the time that we're gonna talk about it. This is something that people, call imbalance in the market. I call it gaps in the market. Okay, imbalance gaps. You can call it the same thing. It's basically, you could say, it's basically when, let's see if we can show you a clear example, just to show you a clear example. Okay, very clear example. This typically happens when news comes out. Okay, something like news comes out, and we have a big, strong impulse, like insane amounts of impulse to the upside or the downside. And what that does is it leaves areas that are unfilled in the market. Okay, this whole candle and this whole candle, it's an unfilled area where the people that have orders, the big banks or whoever you want to call them, investors for indices, they did not get a chance to get in at certain prices. So the algorithm, aka banks, whoever, the market will typically return pretty sharply back to fill those orders. So in this example, we had news come out and we pushed right to the top. I actually took the short, not based on my strategy, but I took the short just on the basis that we were going to come down. I knew that. We had a sharp impulse to the upside where there was you couldn't even take a trade here. Blasted through everything else. And then look at what happened right after that. We just waterfalled back down. And now I'm going to be expecting, I would actually remove my drawings. My next trade that I would actually take on EU now would probably be somewhere up here if I got the right confirmations. Okay, if I got the right confirmations, because this would have been a really good trade because we're already in a downtrend. Okay, this could be potentially a bear flag coming up later for next week. But I know the market has to fill this area, this whole waterfall area. It was created because of this, but we still have to come back. So if we can chop our way back up into this area and I get the right candlestick formations here, this would be a great trade, great trade. When can you use this practically? Okay, practically you can use it like an example like this. Okay, we already know we're in a downtrend. Boom, it's already happening. Price blasted through our supply zones, but it did hit this supply zone. It did hit this supply zone right here. Now, as an added confluence, you could say, we're in a downtrend. Price wants to move down. We know price wants to move down here. But price has to forcefully come back into this area to fill all of this gap in. So once this gap is filled, it could be up in this area. It may not make it all the way up there. It may make it to our first zone. We'll just have to see how the reactions are. There's a very good chance that once this gap is filled, we will just continue moving to the downside. We're just going to continue pushing in that direction. So sometimes I use this as a confluence. I use this on the GJ trade that was sent in the signals chat 2 weeks ago or whatever, when we made I can't even remember, we made an insane amount of money that Friday. It was right up in here. Yeah, it was a Friday. It was 100 pips. Okay, where was it? Let me see, because you can see it. Sometimes you can see it much more clearer on the higher time frames. It was this one here. Okay. Yes, because I took it right at 7:30 in the morning. Yeah, this was it right here. I had my supply zone drawn, and my biggest confluence for this trade, I already knew that. I already knew we have a pull. We're in a bear flag. We're pushing down. But this was my biggest confluence that day. That was a 4%, 5% trade, 105 pips, and we were in and out in 4 to 5 hours. Okay, you even have the 3-pin formation here. The biggest confluence for me in this trade to feel very confident that day was, look at this candle, just waterfall down. Okay, market has to come back and fill this area. If not now, later. But if I see it coming back now, I'm gonna take it now. Look at the way how it chopped its way up. Soon as it filled the gap. I think I took my trade up, right up there. It was like very tight. It was very tight. And you know, we broke the bear flag, and I think I was out in this area. I could have held. I mean, look at the. If I held it, man, come on. Could have held this for like a 1 to 19. Obviously, we're not going to be able to hold stuff that long. I can't. If you can, damn, you know, you're going to make some good money. So, just wanted to make you guys aware of something like that, you know, especially when we're having pushes up like this, right? We're having pushes up like this. This is like a strong push. On the daily, this is going to show us gaps in the market where we need to now chop our way back down to potentially one of our major demand zones like this. Okay, I wouldn't even look for a long until we got all the way back down here. I would just continue to keep drawing out my supply zones. Okay, this would be like it right here on the hourly. Maybe I'd go down to the 15-minute to find a small one. But look, we have another trade setting up here. I don't know if this is going to work out, but I'm going to wait for it this coming week. We have a big gap in the market here. This was from the news on Thursday on GBP. The major news that came out where it just melted all GBP pairs. This is very good for me because I can just wait for this gap to get filled, price to chop its way up in here, and if it gives me the right reaction, I could be setting up for a really good trade this coming week. Okay, really good trade this coming week. Because we know this is where our next demand zone is. So we know price is chopping its way back down. Risk to reward is crazy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Like, once you guys get good at this strategy and it matches your personality, like there was no way that I would ever sell a course unless I had 100% belief in it. It works so well for me that I don't understand why it wouldn't work for anyone else. So I wanted to quickly just show you guys that. And even on the higher time frames, look, we have a big imbalance here, right? Big imbalance. We saw this on the hourly chart as well. You know, we could take this on the 4-hour, wait for price to come back. You know, draw your bear flag out, wait for the right formations to happen. You could just shoot this thing down. I'm going to be looking for this trade next week. Hopefully I get it. Yeah, imbalance. I was showing you guys this trade on USD Japan where I was showing you the bear flag, right? This was the pole. This was the flag. The biggest confluence here would have been, okay, we have the head and shoulders, the right test of the shoulder, the flag. But look, we have another confluence that we can use. There's imbalance left in the market. The market has to chop its way back to the supply area, and then you can drop it. Crazy. And you can find this all the time. In all time frames, you're going to find it. Okay, but when you're looking for this, try to look for this in the higher time frames. The 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily. And you know, you can just see price like waterfalled, and it'll fill, if it doesn't fill all of it, it'll fill majority of the gap that was created in the market. And this happens all the time. This happens because of news, right? Anytime any major news is released, there's major news releases. You know, we get a little bit of imbalance, market will push back right up into that zone. And why I'm sharing this is because when you get better at your zones, your entries, all that stuff, use this as a layer of confluence when you see it. When you see it, you know, let me wait for this to come back all the way up in here. Like when you see something like this, wait. Just be like, let me wait for this to come back into the zone to fill the market gap. Okay. Wasn't really the best short here, but just example purposes. Yeah. You know, the direction is down. We've created some kind of imbalance, at least here. There's such a strong push. We chop our way back and drop. Small video. all of these videos are really small in the extra confluences series, because this is stuff that I want you guys to come back at a later date. At a later date, when you've refined everything else, you can come back to this at a later date. So you can start adding on layers of confluence to your trades, you know. So just gonna end this video right here. Come back to this at a later time and go and look out for this on the charts. Go to different charts. You know, we can go to GBP USD, which I know just got hit with news last week. So as you can see, boom, big impulse to the downside, big imbalance left, huge imbalance left. So anyways, gonna end the video right here.